What's going on, everybody? You know who it is. This is Austin, aka More Than an Agent, here with my awesome co-host, my Dominicano hermano, Soto, here on the Blueprint Podcast, the Real Estate Blueprint Podcast. Soto, what's up, man? How you holding up? Everything's good?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
The daily grind, man. That's my favorite word because it is a daily grind. And today's guest is serial entrepreneur and investor in the real estate space. And we want to dig into his story. Just, we'll talk about how he got started, but obviously the biggest thing is how he was able to scale. And a lot of people are, doing their first flip, they got maybe a couple under their belt, but they always struggle with the challenges of building a profitable, scalable, repeatable business. And today's guest has done all of that and more. And I think he's also in the event space and entertainment space as well, which we definitely want to pick his brain on. So ladies and gentlemen, a staple in the New Jersey real estate investing community, Benz Jean. Benz, what's up, brother? How's everything? Thanks for coming on the show.
Doing great. I'm doing great. Again, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Benz Jean. I'm a real estate investor in New Jersey. And thank you, John. Thank you, Austin, for having me. So it's a pleasure.
Let's dig into it. Like, first deal, like, how do you even step foot into the business? Were you always into this? Were you in sales before? How do you, like, where did this come from?
Well, I have been in this business for almost like 21 years now. When I started, I actually started as a loan officer. That's how I got started into the business. But prior to that, I worked at a warehouse. I drive a forklift. So I had a friend of mine who basically was already into the business. And I was always asking him questions. I was always intrigued, asking him, how do I get in? And basically, it was a tough decision for me to make, not knowing anything about sales. This is something that, I'm going into, brand new. And then from that point on, he convinced me. He believes in me more than I believe in myself. And I decided to become a loan officer. And, from that point on, I worked as a loan officer from 2001 to 2007. I worked as a loan officer. I was very successful at it. I made over a couple figures. Money was good. I was doing really good. But when the market crashed, it kind of I got hurt pretty bad because, I'm used to making big money. Here I am now. I can't even make money. I spent like 2 years without making any type of money whatsoever. So then around 2008, I jumped into the flipping game.
Interesting.
And then, from the flipping game, since then, I didn't know much. I didn't know how to borrow hard money. I didn't know how to do anything. On some of the deals that I did it on my personal name until I finally met the right people that was able to guide me towards real investment. And then since then, I have been in the business, and then I have been a loan officer. I have been an investor in many different platforms, from small properties in Newark, New Jersey, to all the way to big mansions. I have done a lot. And right now, I have been a student in the development game, but I think that's my second year, going into third year now. I think I'm getting it. I'm learning.
Awesome. So talk to us about that first deal. How did you find that deal? How did you fund that deal? Was it any profitable? What mistakes, what lessons you learned?
First deal, I didn't really make much money because I didn't have a mentor or anyone to guide me. I just wanted to get into the real estate game. Didn't really know much what I'm getting myself into. So the first deal, it was definitely okay. I hire a contractor. We end up, fighting. The deal end up not going through. I got a second contractor. Deal wasn't going through. So my third contractor that I hired finally finished the job. But at the end of the day, they had already ate all my profit. I didn't make much money. I made some money, but it wasn't the money that I anticipated to make. But, it was a learning lesson. I didn't really see it as a bad lesson because that was my first. And after that, the second one was a lot smoother because I understand basically just, and then they're going to do what they're supposed to do. But totally the opposite.
You mentioned that you're a like student of the game, right? Which a lot of us think that we like banging out the first flip, even if we found some success, we stop learning, we stop, debriefing, we stop, figuring out like how can we get better and things like that. And when you mentioned that, I thought that was interesting because like becoming a student of the game, where from the first deal to everything that you're doing now, what would you say was a pivotal point for you where you were able to say, like, all right, I got this, right? Like, for example, you mentioned in the development game, you're 2-3 years in, and now you're, and it's funny, and I say it respectfully that you're 2-3 years in, right? And you're still like, I think I got, like, I got a solid handle on it, but you're still not like I'm here, I don't need nobody else's help, like I got it, like here we go, right? And it goes back to that student of the game mentality. What would you say was like a pivotal point in that first flip and where you were able to repeat that success over and over again?
Well, like you just said, but for me, it was mainly the construction. And the more time that I put in, I started to understand the game, not just someone to hand money to a contractor. So I started to be the guy who will go to Home Depot, go to different lumber, different places to understand how much material. I didn't even know how to measure anything. So I started learning how to do measurement and how much it's gonna cost me. So from that point on, I started like giving myself like lessons. Let me try to see if I go to this job site, how much is it gonna cost me to build this house, so we have this house. So as the time goes on, I started to learn more. My numbers wasn't as much different as somebody that was already a contractor. So after a few times, and I finally got it, understand the construction budget. And I think in this business, that's what's really gonna make you successful, by understanding the construction budget, understand what to put in the property, and then how to sell it. Because you give it to a contractor, he's not in the selling business. He's in the business of contracting, doing work. But me, I started to learn, go in different places to see what's selling, and I kind of implicate the same thing into my rehabs, and then that's how I was able to do it. And I'm still learning that today, even in my bigger projects. I'll take a Sunday off to basically go to like different open houses to ask different builders, different people questions. This is how you go about, how do you save money? How do you save costs from all this that you're doing? So it's definitely, that was one of the things that kind of opened my eyes.
Nice.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
No. Yeah. So you mentioned at the beginning you was a loan officer for many years. Then when 2007 happened, you were kind of a little forced into flipping game. I know you tripped a few times the first deal, but what made you keep going? What made you not quit after tripping so many times in that first deal?
Well, it was always a passion to take something that an ugly house, to turn it into a beautiful house. It was always a passion for me to challenge myself to do it, not even so much of the money, of something that I wanted, some type of skills I wanted to develop. And then I was able to do it. I didn't do it because of the money, because I knew the money was coming. I know sooner or later I'm gonna be able to make money, but I felt like I had to learn in order for me to do it.
You're in an interesting space, right? Because like obviously, like for our community, right, and like this, we pride ourselves of being the podcast for the Black and Brown community, right? And you don't really see a lot of Black and Brown investors in the luxury space, right? Like breaking into that, was it just because in theory, most people would say like, I want to break into the luxury space just because like, the profit spreads are wider, right? And obviously that's a simpler way of looking at it. Was that the same case for you, where you were looking at it like, if I can do it on a small 3-bed, 2-bath house, I can do the same thing for a 7-bed, 4-bath mansion and in a highly desirable neighborhood? Was it just the profit spread, or was there something else that led you into doing those types of deals? Because people usually like to niche, and they say like, okay, we're just going to do and focus on the 3-bed, 2 baths and the regular suburban home. What had you step into that, like into that particular territory?
It's like everything in life. I've overgrown the space that I was in.
Yep.
And I have done so many flips in many different towns, from Newark to Linden, Galway, anywhere you could basically think of New Jersey. I have done deal from Bergen County. And then I felt like I have overgrown the space that I was in. I felt like at a certain point, just like anybody who's going to a job, they started as a janitor. After 3 years to 4 years, they don't want to remain a janitor. And then with the type of people that I was meeting, and then the kind of work that I was doing into my regular, I would say, mid-sized flips, I felt like, it was time for me to go to the next level. And I wanted another challenge in my life. And that's one of the main reasons I did it. Not because of the money. I mean, I love the money, but don't get me wrong. But it was more so of a challenge. Like from the space that I was in, dealing with like little pettiness that I done from the when I felt like I was a bigger man than that. I wanted to do bigger things.
I wanna touch base a little bit on how you found your deals, because I know we spoke to this in your office a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember, but your marketing is pretty A1. I want to talk a little bit more about that. How you find your deals and how you do your networking.
For me, finding my deals has always been relationship. For all the time I have been in the business, it had always been the relationship I create with different people. My networking is a little bit different. Like if I don't know Austin, I would definitely call him and say, listen, I see you doing great things. Whatever you're doing, I would like to learn from you. If you have something that you can't handle, I'd be glad to take it off your hands. I always have been networking and using my resources. That's what it has been. But in the past, like during 2016, 2017, 18, I really scaled it to the fact that I use a lot of auction platform. I become what's called I forgot what the word for it. I had become like one of the top purchasers from the auctions online, and then I had a lot of perks that they provided to me. With these perks, like before, I could not buy a property. Instead of them running it into the auction online, someone like myself who was buying like 22 properties on a yearly basis, it would be a phone call to one of the directors at auction.com, and then that property I would basically get it for whatever the price that the bank is looking for. So I had that type of relationship with auction.com back in 16, 17, 18. I had that type of relationship with them.
That was going to be my next question. Like if you're going on these auction platforms, which is basically another MLS just for auction properties, like how are you still able to make sure that you hit your numbers, considering the fact that obviously in this market being high, bidding wars and so on and so forth, but you pretty much answered the questions. And yes, real estate is relationships, and that's very, very key. Do you do any other forms of marketing, direct mail, text blasts, social media ads, anything?
For me, I never really done that. I never done any mail marketing or anything. It's always have been my relationship, the people that I work with, whether if it's a realtor, whether it's a wholesaler, I have created relationship with them. And vice versa. You heard me saying I bought 22 properties for the whole, in 2016, 17. Those 22 properties, I didn't flip all 22 properties. Some of these properties, I passed them over to all the wholesalers so they could wholesale themselves to make money. Vice versa, when they get properties from somebody else, they always give it back to me too. They know they're gonna make money with me. It's always have been relationship.
I love that you created an ecosystem, like a nice ecosystem just of like a referral based lead generation strategy, which I think a lot of people miss the relationship part on it. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Definitely working. At one time, I had a friend of mine who managed properties for banks, and basically it would be like, Ben, I'm managing this 10 properties. The tenant is giving a headache, but I know in the next 5, 6 months, 7 months, they're gonna be out or whatever. So I always have the chance of putting a lot of deposit into properties until they actually come out. Eventually, they're gonna come to the MLS, or some banks that I have dealt with would sell it in bulk. They would say buy 10 properties, and then we'll give you a discount price. But that doesn't mean necessarily it's Benz that buying all 10 properties. I could go to Austin, I could go to John, I could go to JT, I could go to anybody else. I said, listen, guys, this is the package deal we're getting. This is the numbers. I know out of the 10 deals, I'm only going to take 4. I'm going to take those 4. Do you want this one? Do you want that one? And then that's how I did it. I might be the man in the front line getting the credit, but it's not really me. I have other people behind me helping me do it.
So I know you're not just in real estate. What other businesses ventures have you been that real estate has allowed you to get into?
Since then, I have always been into the credit business. I own a credit restoration business office. I done that in the last 11 years. And then from that, I jump into venues. I jump into the trucking game, and I jump into small restaurants, anything that has to do with any type of development. And then I try to do other things. Or sometimes it might even not be my business. It could be somebody else's business. I'm one of the biggest, investor into that business, and I invest into it. And then I became part of it as well too, because at the same time, I would like to learn. I have other people that I do business with. I'm not in the front line. I'm a business partner who help them make decisions as well, because I invest heavily into it.
Do you like investing in businesses that already have their systems in place? Like, do you like to invest in businesses that are already running, or somebody is going to bring you an idea and then they're looking for you, to raise capital and so on and so forth, and you're helping people bring their vision to life?
I have done both. I have done businesses where it's already existed. It's either struggling and they're not going where they need to be. And me, what I would bring the resources. I would bring the resources to help them grow their business. Like whether they didn't know the right marketing company, they didn't know where to buy the product at a discount price, I will bring those things because I have a lot of resources. One of my biggest thing is resources. And I could get resources from any industry that I need to tap in, because I always treat people with respect. I'm humble, and then they treat me with respect, and I'm able to do business with other people. So I have done startup business, and I have already see business that's already existed, that's all in existence, and they simplify it to make it work, or so it could be profitable. But there are times I have done business that are not successful, that are not profitable.
Let's go into those. Which business? What have you failed at in like separate businesses and business ventures?
Different businesses, different ventures. A lot of times, there's a lot of businesses. If you're not one of the operators, it's not gonna work. Like for example, I got into the trucking business. I fell in the trucking business. When I said I fell in the trucking business, I felt bad with no shame whatsoever. I started a business with like 10 trucks, and then driver shortage throughout the whole country. I got 3 trucks running, but I got another 7 trucks that's just sitting there, and I'm paying insurance on them every month. And then the operation is so expensive, even though the other 3 trucks are making money, I'm not even still getting by. I'm digging out of my pocket to cover those expenses. So that's one that I fell into. But guess what? As I'm doing it, I decided I wanted to sell all my trucks. As I'm selling my trucks, I realized it took me 7 days to get rid of 10 trucks, and I'm selling them above asking price. And I said, you know what? Why don't I become the guy that sells all the trucks, make all the connections at the bank? Anybody that's, let's say for example, Austin work at a bank, he tells me like, Ben, so-and-so didn't pay their truck for like 3 months. They only owe 26, but that truck is worth 40. But guess what? I'm paying it off, and in that truck, we're gonna sell it. That's what I do now. So that's what I do now. You understand? Because like I said to you, I couldn't find people in many different industries for me to do business. Because there's always, I take care of you, you take care of me. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. And that's how it is. So I felt terribly after a year and a half into the trucking business, which is I decided to go, during the pandemic, which it's a great business. If you are an owner operator, you're going to make a lot of money. But having a company and people knows that's your company, you're going to fail. So I fell into that. And then when I was younger, I had a bodega, which is a grocery store. I was like maybe 22 years old. It wasn't for me due to the fact that I don't want to, there's certain group types of people, it's made for them. They know how to handle that business. That business, I did it because of my poor management. That business fell because I tried to, integrated different types of things. I could do it a little bit different. Maybe I could make different money. I did it. I fell, but that didn't stop me though. That didn't stop me. I still like, okay, listen, that was a lesson learned. I actually sold it. The money that I put out, I got it back. But I lost doing my operation because poor management. I didn't understand the system. Like for example, somebody would come to me. I want to buy a Lucy. Me, I'm not selling you a Lucy. I want to sell you a pack of cigarettes. I learned.
I appreciate the transparency. Because that's real. Like we got a black man that's trying to run a bodega.
Yeah, you went from the real estate flipping game now to the truck flipping game, huh?
Yes, that one right now. It's a great business for me. I can't complain. I don't have any overhead. I'm selling like 3 to 4 trucks a week in trailers, and I build a team, and we're doing good. Like right now I have a guy. He's over in Ohio picking up a reefer, buying it for $8,000. Probably gonna spend another $4,000 into it. We'll be in it for 12, and basically we're looking at to sell it for like $23,000. So that kind of business, I don't have any overhead, and and by the way, anybody that I work with, it's not, the business is not just mine, it's their business as well too. They have percentage into my business. Even if they didn't put money, they bring sweat equity. So basically, whatever money I made, they make it in that money as well. It's not just for me though. It's for all of us. So I gotta speak for all of us, for anybody that's in business with me. I might be the face, but I'm not the one, doing everything. So me, I strictly stay into the real estate, but in the meantime, I flip trucks. I use my connections. I use my resources to provide with the people or my partners or the people that are working alongside of me. This is what we got to get. This is what you need to see. I direct traffic in order for us to do it, which is, that business is pretty good because right now, the same truck that's selling it a lot in Elizabeth for $50,000, I'm selling it for like $38,000, for $40,000, and it's still profitable.
Just a few more questions that me and Jonathan have before we start our descent here. The fundamental key thing, right, where I don't want the listeners to get lost, because in reality, everybody's going to start being like, oh, I should go into the truck flipping business. Oh, I should go into this business. I should go into that business, right? Like we do, like listeners of podcasts always do that, right? And I think the fundamental aspect of it is that you are in 2 businesses. You are in the people business and you are in the problem solving business. Because all of these business ventures, it seems like from a 30,000 foot view, all started with you solving a problem. And like you said, like you being, the resource man, where you're bringing in your resources in order to, bring the company back to life, bring a business back to life, take the business to the next level, or even kind of create a business, because I don't even think I've even heard of truck flipping yet. Like, you know what I mean? So like, turning the negative into a positive. But like the thing I find it fascinating is you took this failed business venture, right? And obviously you're turning the negative into a positive, but on a bigger scale, like you actually now mentally was like, how else can I like profit off of, what I've just done? And with you, asking the questions of, hey, is there anybody that's behind on their car loan? Is there anything that's going to get repossessed soon? Is there anybody that's blah, 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 blah? But I just love that, like, from your failure, and even though like you sold, at a loss and whatever the case, like that didn't stop you from, I'm sorry, actually you didn't sell for the loss on the trucks. You actually, while you were losing money from like a cash flow monthly standpoint, you selling the trucks and realizing that, hey, like I made a profit. Like you didn't just stop there, nor did you, nor did you try to like go into that business consciously. It more was still fundamentally of asking a question of like, how can I serve? whose problem can I solve surrounding trucks, and not the fact that like, hey, I want to go into the truck flipping business?
For me, it was like supplies on demand. I look at the amount of time that it took me to get rid of 10 trucks, which most of the trucks are over $40,000, $50,000. Some trucks I sold for 80 grand. People didn't have any problem finding that money to get into it, because due to the fact that my price were at a discount price, and very big difference between the big dealership where, you know, they were still saving an extra like 5 to 10 grand between me and them. So it wasn't like something that I created. I kind of like God, I would say it. God kind of like walked me into it, knowing how much money I lost in the trucking business, kind of guide me into that direction. As I'm getting rid of them, that's when I'm like, wait a minute. So why me? Why are they buying all these trucks from me? So then I started asking myself questions. Then I said, okay, who can I call that I know who probably have access to trucks? That's not in the dealership. That's not in the auction. Then I started looking at my phone, people that I have encountered in the past, and I started like, let me set up a lunch with them. Let me set up a lunch with them. I even flew all the way to California to meet different type of people so I could try to do business with, and I tell them what my vision is. I even went to companies like, you know, just like you have different companies that get rid of their inventory, like after they're 3 years old, their trucks, after their lease is over, they probably just like, okay, let me get rid of them and get you one. So I try to tap into that market so I could meet those type of people that has those kind of things. But, you know, not just to stay on trucks, but one thing I just want to say is that a lot of people doesn't understand that when I flip a product, it takes me 2 to 3 months to basically make money, to 4 months. What I try to do, I try to create different type of income in the meantime in order for me to pay my bills. Whether I'm doing hard money loans as well, you know, with JD, we own a company called Epic Level Up Group where we're doing loans as well. We have a regular lead generation business, people coming in. So we put the resources together to make it work. You know, basically I might be the face, but I'm not the main person of the business. I have a lot of people behind me that's helping me getting these things done, because I just want to be able to have residual income when the houses is taking 2-3 months before they flip, or when a tenant is not paying on time. So it comes with a lot of stuff, but I try not to be like, okay, all right, I didn't close this month. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay my bills? Or, okay, 5 tenants were supposed to pay. Now I only received 60% of the rent. Then we got to go to court. You know, those kind of things. I just try to get myself ready.
Gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about that commercial loan. What type of deals or loans or real estate are you doing? Is it mainly 3 to 4 families, 10 units, 15 units, fix and flips? What type of deals and loans you have for those products?
But those products are basically considered bridge loan. We're doing new construction. We're doing 30. Also doing 30-year rental. We're doing fix and flip, and we're also doing long term, or like even for bigger commercial deals as well too. And then we still we're still working to try to bring other programs as well. We do a lot of non-QM, and which I know you're very familiar with it and everything. We have some bank statement loans as well too. We also have some of the loans for the I-10 numbers as well too, but more so on the commercial side, more on the business side with LLCs and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, non-QM loans have definitely been increasing the past couple of years. So a higher percentage, and they're expected to continue to grow the next couple of years to come.
Yes, we're doing that. You know, we have a lead generation, and we have a lot of referral business. And you know, most of the people that I'm around are investors. Sometimes, you know, people might come to me not because that I'm able to give them a better deal than what the last guy is giving them. It's more so the customer service and the relationship. That's probably the reason that they chose me or chose my partner, you know, to do business with us, because they know we're solid. Whatever we say we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. We're going to be able to deliver. It's more so the relationship. And then, you know, and we also have the leads coming in as well.
Very last question as we start here, start our descent here. Very last question. Actually, it's a 2-part question, but it is the final question. the first half of the question is, what's next for you? What's next for you, and where are you going? What's the plan for next year? Where are you trying to take things from here?
For next year, it's already planned out. Some of the stuff that I'm working on, they are long-term goals. Like for example, me and a couple partners, we partner up with the city of Hotel to build a couple units, like 18 units and another 12 single families. And basically everything has been in discussion with the city of Hotel. Everything has already been taking place. The architect work has been on the ground. The rendering is being done. So it's a project where I would be involved more into the development side of the business, and then doing a lot of single family homes, building from the ground up. So some of these projects, there's some projects I work on for 2 years before they actually see the light.
Are you and for your ground up construction for like multifamily, are you keeping those or are you selling those?
Okay, for like the one we're doing for the city in Roselle, some of them gonna be low income, which is we keeping, and then some of them gonna be single families that we just flipping them, and then some of other development deals that I got with my partners, with JC, Mike, or whatever. So those are stuff we just flipping.
Gotcha. And then the second half of that question, considering obviously, everybody has fear, anxiety, like in the markets right now. Obviously, everybody's kind of, on edge and to kind of see what's gonna happen. Our prices are gonna teeter off. Is there gonna be a crash, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. What do you think is the future of real estate? What are you seeing, and what's your expert opinion on where this market's gonna go as time goes on?
I have the same fear as everyone else, but one thing about me, I'm very optimistic about it. Listen, if it's not here, I'm gonna continue to play. I'm gonna continue to play. I'm still gonna do my business. I don't know when it's gonna come, but one thing I do know, that's one of the main reasons I got into this. I know people love new construction, they love new properties, or whatever the case may be. I always feel like there's always gonna be a market for that. And then due to the fact that people want single families, sometimes, doing those deals, the appraisal value is not there, but you got so many upgrades that are into those properties, people willing to pay for it out of pocket. So I think that market will definitely stay around, and the rental market for the bigger units always gonna stay around, because now we got a lot of younger people. They want to live luxuriously. They want to have like nice apartments. They want to have amenities. I think I could offer that, and I think that's where the market is going. And I'm gonna continue doing. I'm shifting with the market, and then that's how I see it. But I have the fear as anybody else, but the fear doesn't stop.
You got the fear, but you gotta still do it anyways, right?
Correct. Why not?
Well, at this point, I've come to realize Benz is going to solve the American housing crisis as far as units that are available. So we thank you for adding inventory to the market, because obviously, like, there's no inventory. So Benz single-handedly, along with the team, is going to solve our supply issue. So all love. So there you have it. There's the podcast right there. The future of real estate is Benz. So here we go. Now, going into the core four.
I appreciate that. I'm honored. Thank
you. Going into the core four, as we begin to wrap up this amazing episode. The core four are the 4 questions that we pretty much ask each and every guest that comes on the Real Estate Blueprint podcast. Question number 1: what is your favorite aspect about real estate? And I'm interested in this answer because you're touching a whole, like, different facets of real estate, fix and flip, multifamily, ground up construction, restaurant ownership, event space, so on and so forth. Like, what is your favorite aspect about real estate?
For me, it's more so passion at this point of my life. Passion.
Nice.
Therefore,
question number 2.
Yeah.
What is your favorite business or personal development book?
That one, it's a tough one. That one is it's a tough one. But you know what? Again, personal development, I would say real estate is my first love. that would be number one for me.
All right, so anything real estate related. Gotcha. Okay. Question number 3, when you're not out doing crazy deals, while you're not out helping the American inventory shortage by adding more units and ground up development, what are some of the things that you like to do in your spare time? If you have any.
Spare time. On a regular basis, I join a few cigar lounges, smoke some cigars. You know, at the same time, I'm relaxing, but I'm also networking at the same time. So that's basically, I do that maybe 2-3 times a week. You know, I join private clubs to kind of like network and stuff like that. So that's my downtime, and I like to talk, as you could see. So that's what I do.
I'm here for it.
I just went to one in Inglewood. You went to the Sophia Lounge? Sophia, I believe it's called. In Inglewood? It's a cigar lounge.
Yes, I know about Sophia. I know about Sophia. I have gone to Sophia. I'm not a member there. I'm a member at a club called 𝐒𝐨, which is out of Red Bank. That's where the private club that I joined, and then also too, I have some other clubs that, you know, I join as well too, but I don't go on a regular, that maybe once a month or whatever. But this one, definitely I go like at least twice or 3 times a week, as you know. And then I like to spend time with my family too. So during the week I work, and then on the weekends I try to spend time with my family.
Nice.
Well, the good part about it is that we on the first day of summer, we're actually going to be doing a wine and real estate event over at Smoking Ashes and T-Neck. Which
I know
is
exactly what.
yeah. So you'll definitely get the invite to that. Hopefully you can make it out, but that's gonna be an amazing event. And yeah, all that for cigar lounges. Which you know, I'm not a cigar smoker, but I've come to realize that I'll take a couple of tokes, but you know, the culture and environment of it is something that I didn't really grasp until I started talking to more individuals like in that particular space. And yes, like if you know, if I had to choose, if I'm not doing a golf club, I would definitely join a cigar lounge, like without a doubt. In that particular case, or a country club. Okay. Last question, last but not least, Benz, where can people find you at? If they need some of your services, if they need help with something, if they're trying to tap into your resourcefulness, where can people find you at?
Listen, I'm on all social media platforms, which is Benz_Jean on Instagram, and I'm also Benz Jean on Facebook, which is my name, is the name that you can't go anywhere on the internet, from Google to anywhere. They could find me through there. And also I have an office. I have 3 offices located in Linden at 225 Northwood Avenue in Linden. I'm on the 2nd floor. I occupy like 3 offices for multiple businesses. So they could always find me there as well. But, you know, so I'm easy to find. One thing we didn't mention, I know it's the last question, I answer it for you. On Saturday, we're having an event in Carteret, which is a real estate networking event. You know, whether you're a new investor, you're a seasoned investor, someone who just even a first-time home buyer, this is a seminar that they need to attend on Saturday, where they're gonna get we have a lot of professionals that's gonna be there. It's gonna be in Carteret, and then I could always share the Eventbrite on my page, you know, on my bio. They could always find that, which is Saturday, May 21st, from 9 to 5.
We'll definitely put that in the show notes. And I guess that was going to be the last question. Is there anything that we didn't ask that we should have asked?
You basically asked me all the questions, and then I just wanted to thank both of you guys for having me. You know, I mean, taking the time out to basically interview me. You know, to spread the love, to spread, you know, help each other out, you know, in many different ways. It's always good, you know, because appearance, you know, basically it's always the way to go. It's always different ways to networking. Me working right now, doing the Zoom live with you, it's basically helping me. I'm tapping into your network, and then you tapping into my network as well too. But I just wanted to thank you guys for having me and everything, but I appreciate it though.
All love. Soto, you good?
I'm good, man. I just want to thank Benz. Always been a humble guy from the beginning, since the first day I met you, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate all you guys. Make sure you guys show up Saturday at the event. I will share some of the all the information with you guys, and then I'm sure you guys have a lot of people that are following you guys or clients that you guys have who probably you don't have the time to explain to them exactly how to get into the game, or Austin letting them know, how to get into the game. I know he's not just an agent, but listen, this is the time, where you could invite him to grab some of that information that we're putting out.
I'm not even gonna lie, when we met at the when we were at the Flippers and Funders event, and it's crazy because obviously, like, people in the real estate investing community, we know the heavy hitters, right? We know the players, we know the individuals that are really, really, really doing deals, right? So it's funny because, like, there's almost a little celebrity, like, there's little, like, small celebrities that are out there. And I remember being at that networking event, and long story short, I was just like, yo, Benz, like, yo, I know who you are. Like, I seen you all over. Like, I just wanted to introduce myself. And you were like, no, bro, like, I know who you are. And I'm like, yes, yo, Benz knows me. That's what I'm talking about. I'm like, Benz knows me. I'm out here doing something, right? Like, I'm here for it. So all the love, man. Thank you for stopping by the podcast. Thank you for stopping by the podcast.
Love. We all could learn from each other, man.
One deal at a time.
Okay, let's get it, man. All right, looking forward to work with you guys. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. This is the Real Estate Blueprint Podcast, signing off.